God.
Hi,
How are you?
good. How you doing?
Good.
How's everything?
Good. How about with you?
Good,
I was
good,
I
good.
wasn't going to get on because my it was doing weird stuff again.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I made the settings so that it was that there wasn't a waiting room and that people can actually when they come in, they just come in and they don't have to worry about unmuting or anything like that. So
Oh, nice.
so
Good.
hopefully it worked, but it's just you and me.
Well, we're early, so
But yeah, but Chuck is usually about, you'd think he'd be
yeah,
on about 6:15, so
that's true.
yeah.
So I see your book of Kells there
Oh yeah. Yeah, actually that's from Ireland.
from Trinity.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I went there.
Yeah, I got it from that. Yeah, I've had that since I don't know, I went there when I was 18. So
Yeah, you
like,
told me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you remember the story? Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was there 4 years ago today.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yep. Yep. That was my first trip. Yep. So
Oh, it was
yeah.
cool, huh?
Huh?
It was great, wasn't it?
It was. And then I went again 2 years ago. So I've been spoiled.
Nice. That's really nice.
Yeah.
And and the food is great there too, which is,
Yes.
you know, people always make so much fun of, where they did, they used to
We
say,
Irish know how to
oh,
eat.
yeah, exactly. That's right.
Hey,
Exactly.
did you have my potato chips when you were there?
Yes. Yes.
You see this?
Oh my God, look at that. No way.
Yep.
What is that like? Is there any, who knows, right? It's like the Donahues, right? Yeah.
Couldn't
Yeah.
believe it. I
Yep.
could not
Yep.
believe it. I don't
Yep.
normally eat that kind of potato chip, but of course I had to buy them and bring it home and frame it.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God, that's so funny. That is so
Yep.
cool.
I got
Yeah.
one for myself and my sister each have one now.
Oh, that's really cool. Do
Yeah.
they still have them, right?
Yeah, you can buy them
Oh,
on
yeah.
Amazon.
Oh, you can? That's so funny. That's
Um,
probably the best place to buy anything right now, huh?
no, they're very expensive on Amazon. They're much cheaper in Ireland. You could probably fly there and eat them and come back for less money.
That's funny.
So seeing I have you here before
Yeah.
everybody gets here, I did the minutes for the hearing.
Yeah.
And basically what I just said, I gave a synopsis of what you said at the beginning,
Yep.
put in the PowerPoint. Now, what do you want me to do as far as the questions and answers? Can I just say that Bob Donahue addressed, many questions because it's all recorded. So I don't think it needs to be
Yeah, you're right. It is all recorded.
technically minutes really only have to capture motions. I mean,
Right, right. That's very true. Yeah, that is true. And I was thinking about this that there was, I don't remember who said it. I think it might have been the people that asked the question, but there was the question about how this was such a bad thing that it wasn't effective or whatever it was. But then I realized that, we sent a mailing out to like
everybody.
every single house in the town of like over 7,400 people
Yeah.
and only had 5 people that had questions. I mean, that ratio is pretty, that's
Yeah.
pretty interesting, you know?
Yeah. Huh.
So again, like to your point, was it, uh, you know, you're right. You got what you got from the meeting, and yeah, I think it's fine.
So I could just put that a number of questions were addressed
Sure.
by the chair, and then if anybody wants more, I'm happy to do it. I just don't think it's necessary because the recording is already
Is
online.
it on there? Yeah, okay.
So, and then the other thing about the reports,
Yeah.
that's on me because I always used to include the reports. And for whatever reason, the last couple of months, I forgot to include them. I have no idea why.
Oh, okay.
So I will revise those and add those.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, they always have, if you look at some of the other groups, the way that they have things, they have like attachments like that, or it's revised or whatever it is. So, yeah.
But I've always added them. So I must have it must have slipped my mind. My apologies on that one. So
No,
I
that's
I
fine.
will revise those and put those in for us.
I just got a text from Lori. She's going to join us, but she might have to leave.
Okay.
But I see, hi Chuck, how are you? And I see Nancy's iPhone.
Hello, can you
No.
see me?
I can't see you, and I see Carl, he's got himself muted, and we can't see him, but we know that he's here.
Yeah, I'm here.
So why can't you see me?
I don't know. Do you have your video shared?
Start video, how's that? There,
No.
There you are.
Hey.
I know how to use Zoom, huh?
Yay!
Beth will not be able to join us tonight,
Okay.
but we really have a fairly minimal agenda, so.
So were you able to know how many were present on Monday?
65.
Oh, wow. That's a good number.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I think so.
You did a great job.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. All right, I'm trying to find her email. Is this a special Board of Finance? No.
Yes,
It
It
is.
is. Okay, so
She sent it on May 12th
May 12th.
at 9:07 a.m.
May 12th. No, that's, okay. I'm trying to find the agenda.
Okay.
It's just the budget workshop. That's the only thing on it, Nancy.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Let
it
me
just
put it-
says, as Jen just said, it just says budget workshop.
That's the
That's all right.
title.
We have a special meeting coming up. Oh,
Special meeting.
where are you? Here we are.
You found it?
Yeah, May 12th, 11:53 a.m.,
Mine says 9:07.
right?
You know what? She might have sent
Oh,
me
that's-
the other
minute.
copy with the
Wait.
Zoom.
That's Board of Finance meeting Tuesday, May 19th. We have another meeting.
We do. That's our regular meeting.
Okay, that's not what I want. That's not what I want. Special Board of Finance meeting. I got that. That's the invitation.
I see a Carol who called in and an 860-301-1698, but I don't believe that any of those is a member of the board. We do need 4 for a quorum.
So for taking minute purposes, Carol, we see, can you please tell me who you are? And as you're coming in, let me know who you are so I can add you to my list, please.
Carol Kleeman,
Thank you.
welcome.
860-301-11698. Who are you, please?
Richard Parmley,
Oh, hi, how are you?
860-381-1698.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
No, thank you. You're good.
Okay, you're gonna mute me?
Yes, and *6 on your phone mutes you if you're using your phone.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
1, 2, 3, 4. We
Yep.
got it.
There's another 3490738.
Yes, good evening. Johnny Viola here.
Hi, Dawn.
Hope everybody's doing well.
So we
And,
just need you to, you can mute yourself by doing *6.
I can do what by doing *6?
That mutes you.
Say that again, please.
That mutes you from the meeting.
YouTube? I'm
Mute.
on my telephone.
Correct. Dial *6.
Dial *6. Okay, and then I will still be in the meeting?
You will.
Okay, I'll try that. Thank you. *6.
Okay, I see Lori, I see Chuck, Nancy, and myself, which means that we do have a quorum to begin the meeting. This is a special Board of Finance meeting held today, which is Thursday, May 14th, 2020. The call to order and roll call as far as the members of the Board of Finance, you have myself, Bob Donahue, you have Chuck Stengel, you have Nancy Cuomo, you have Lori Tuttle. I believe that is,
You have it on mute. Mute.
you guys need to mute if you come in. I believe that it's all the members from the Board of Finance. I don't see anyone else, correct? Okay, so the first item on the agenda is the fiscal year 2021 budget workshop. And as you know, we had the annual hearing that took place. And what we had set in place was a process whereby we allowed people to send in questions after the meeting so that they had the opportunity to do so. And we did receive questions. The item on the agenda is that we'll now review them and give the comments. First question that I have is from Rick Parmalee. And the question is, how many people were at the budget hearing last night? Previously, this was available on the Zoom site. Regards. And the answer to that is that there were 65 that were the final tally of the maximum number that called in. Initially, there were obviously less, and then toward the end, it ended up being about 50, but the cap was 65. I now have a sort of question commentary. It's fairly long, but I'm going to read it to you. This is a email that I received from Francis Willett. As you recall, he did have a question and some comments at the annual hearing that were presented in advance, but he wanted me to share this with everyone. So here we go. Bob, thank you for raising my questions last night. I wanted to give you an update as I was able to sit down this morning with the Durham Ambulance Secretary, Andrew Myman. He had a very good, honest discussion on the concerns I raised in my emails to the Board of Finance. There's no question that Andy's leadership and influence will have noticeable improvements to the DVAC operations. I was not aware that Andy was still involved, so I am glad we talked. We agreed I should have reached out to him directly as part of the DVAC leadership or attended their meetings to raise concerns. As for the LLC item in their April 20 Board of Directors meeting, Andy explained that this item was discussed as a way to address the payment of special duty service hours for EMTs that work special events. For example, the Durham Fair. That there are specific labor laws that need to be followed for income from these special events that are different than the stipend, which is the pay per call, that the Durham ambulance currently receives as far as related to a shortage in shift coverage for 911 EMS calls. This LLC was an idea that was noted in the minutes for transparency, but was never set up. Andy stated that the board of directors is meeting with labor law attorney this week to understand how they need to modify their processes to properly handle these income streams for special event coverages. The minutes did not give enough information on what it was. I understand now what they are trying to do and why this came up. We also had a frank discussion about the current perceptions that town, DVFC, and DVAC all have about Durham Ambulance, and that we need to work on I think he probably meant to say, I need to put the past behind us and focus forward on a new model for DVAC in order to have them survive. The constant barrage of mistakes of past leadership and members no longer with DVAC is affecting their ability to move things forward. We also discussed a few ideas for improving operations between the agencies. These are not official, just ideas at this point. More work will be needed to move these forward. We agreed to work with our leadership and have open dialogue.
Bob, who sent in that
This-
commentary?
Francis Willett.
Okay.
So he gave then a bunch of bullet points about things as far as what they felt was the best way for the two organizations to work with each other. It takes up an entirely other page as well. And I think that the point of the letter, and I think the point of the discussion that we had at the annual hearing, was that the directive of the Board of Finance, as we know, is to essentially fund various departments based on what they need to have in order to operate properly. And what I had mentioned on the call several times was that if there's a department that has a director and you have, let's say, some sort of level of discomfort with the operations from the management, that you should probably go through the management. And it sounds as though he took my advice and he said that he wanted to just share that I would ask to share with the board members in response to the concerns raised, that we will now raise our concerns directly to them. So
And-
go ahead. Yep.
And when did you receive that commentary?
This was received to the Board of Finance questions mailbox on Tuesday, May 12th.
Tuesday, May 12th. And that mailbox goes directly to you, Bob?
No.
No.
What we did, Nancy, is that in advance of the annual hearing,
Uh-huh.
in order to give the public the opportunity, if they had any questions regarding the budget, a mailing was sent to every single household within the town. In addition
Right.
to that, there was information that were on the websites that we brought up at our different meetings that we had. And it was an opportunity for members of the town to send in questions.
Right.
During that time, we set up a mailbox that was called BOF Questions at townofdurhamct.org. It was
Okay.
sent to myself, and it was also sent to Beth Moncada, so that we were able to address the concerns. Again, at that time, only 5 members of the community felt the need to send in questions out of a population of 7,400, and we were able to answer in full all of the questions that they had. However, what we also decided to do is that in the event that anyone attended the meeting and then after the presentation had other questions or concerns, we gave a window of opportunity for them to send that in as well. And the purpose of what we're doing tonight is to essentially read those out and answer those questions.
Right, right.
This was the
So-
statement that he sent in after the
Right.
presentation.
And so my question is, does Francis Willett since the commentary and the question was sent to BOF questions, does Francis want the entire board to see that? What he sent in?
He does.
Okay,
He
so you
does.
will, so you will be forwarding that to us?
If you want to have it in copy, you certainly can have it, yes. The
Well, I
form-
don't,
The format that we used was that if the questions came in, that the best thing would be that we would read them and then give the answers, especially because of the fact that the annual hearing wasn't an opportunity to have it on Zoom because of so many people calling in.
okay.
You
Well,
see what I mean?
yes, but I'm saying if Francis would like the entire board to have that commentary and those questions, then I'm asking you to forward it to the board.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay,
I just felt like I wanted to give the same opportunity to everyone, which was that we would read the questions and make the answers. This just happened to be a fairly lengthy comment.
okay.
Will that be entered into the minutes?
Sure. Yep. We can
Okay.
do that. What other questions do you have about the commentary that was sent in from Francis? Anything?
I'm going to reserve my comments until I can read it and study it further.
Okay, that sounds good. So then I do have a series of comments and questions that were received on May 12th. This is from resident Danya Viola, and it reads this way. To Durham's Board of Finance members, I would first like to say that I was pleased with most of the presentation given at last night's Board of Finance annual meeting for the purpose of informing the residents and taxpayers via an online overview of the proposal. Also, I appreciate your responses, Mr. Donahue, to various questions submitted by myself and others who needed answers to items listed. After having looked up, as suggested, the two meeting dates from July 9, 2018 and April 16, 2020, regarding the $150,000 put into the budget for Shady Lane, $400,000 would be the full cost, she put in parentheses. I could not find information on either date as to whether or not this road was accepted as a town road. Can you please clarify this? So what I would say is that the meeting minutes from the Board of Selectmen's meeting that took place on July 9 of 2018, I have a copy of them here. And if you go to item number 12, there's significant dialogue between the select people at the time. And the information that was given at that time indicates that John Shekshek noted that the taxes have been paid on the abutting properties, and he feels that discontinuing the road would not be fair to the property town owners. He expressed that he is in favor of leaving it unapproved and added that if a house is built, that the town will have to put money into making improvements on the road. At that time, Tom Hennick and John agreed. And it says then Laura Francis stated that they are all in agreement to leave Shady Lane as an unapproved road. I can only go by what they have for minutes as far as the information that we have gotten in. The finance director got the figure of the $395,000. And as we mentioned, that's why we stated as approximately $400,000. And as far as any other information is concerned with that, we're only going by what happened at the April 16th, 2020 Board of Selectmen meeting and the notes that we found, which are from 2018.
So Bob, that would mean that it is an unapproved but town road.
Correct.
If that's what the minutes said, and
Yes.
again, I'm only going by that, I'm not making that judgment call. I'm only reading off to you what's in writing.
Correct, but I'm trying to
Josh?
get an answer to Danya's question.
Right.
Yeah. So
Go
I
ahead,
understand,
Lori.
yeah, I understand it to be an unapproved town road.
I do as well. That is correct.
Okay. Did anyone else want to comment on that? Okay, then I'll move on to her other question. I cannot agree with the town of Durham continuing to follow the pattern of like increases when it scales the blue collar and white collar workers equally. I guess my comment to that is that that term is not even used in the corporate vernacular anymore, as far as using colors to talk about the levels of employees. And as far as I'm concerned, I think that everyone in the town is a human being, and based on their commitments to the town and as far as what they do, what they work, there's a union contract, there's a stipend part-time employee, and there are salaried employees. But the term blue collar and white collar is something that, as being a corporate officer of a bank, is not really something I'm even comfortable saying. So I'll leave you with that. What the Compensation Review Board came up with in comparing our town's employees with other municipalities is an unfortunate determination and a poor strategy to permit ongoing hikes in wages, whether or not the performance is enhanced or the workload increased. Might we look at neighboring towns like Cromwell, whose budget for this year and for the previous 2 years remains flat? They also felt it flat for 5 years steady, and this is before the last of 4 or 5, 6 budget seasons. It is time to clearly look at what Durham actually needs and does not need to remain solvent and productive without comparisons to other townships. Simply looking out for ourselves with the reality check. Did anyone from the board want to comment on that question?
Can you read it again? Maybe even
Well, it's
paraphrase
not
it?
really a question. I mean, it's just sort of a statement, but here's where we go.
Can you read at least the, and I don't mean to interfere with Lori's reading the entire thing, but where she mentions the compensation review, please, again?
Yeah,
Sure.
that's fine. Yeah, even if you paraphrase, that's fine.
So she said, what the Compensation Review Board came up with in comparing our town's employees with other municipalities' employees in an unfortunate determination and a poor strategy to permit ongoing hikes in wages, whether or not the performance is enhanced or the workload is increased.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then the suggestion was that we perhaps look at the town of Cromwell and compare their budget, where they've remained flat for the past 2 years. This isn't a question, it's just a commentary. But again, because it went into the BOF questions portal, we made the commitment that we would read them all out.
Yes.
Okay, then the second item in that paragraph, it indicates that it is time to clearly look at what Durham actually needs and does to remain solvent and productive without comparisons to other townships, simply looking out for ourselves with a reality check. I guess my comment on that would be that in one instance, it sounds as though we're being asked to look at another town for their comparisons, and then we're not being asked to do that as well. There isn't a question, it's just a statement. So as I mentioned, I'm reading it out because it was received. Would anyone else like to comment on that? Okay, I'll move on. I'm aware of the 15% cushion you allow in this budget, but up until last year, the comfortable percentage was considered anywhere between 8 and 11%. Therefore, I beg my previous question as to your scrutinizing this proposed budget and offsetting the costs by reducing it further, especially with the uncertainty of the current budget situation brought on by COVID-19 and impacting so many here, physically, monetarily, and emotionally. Furthermore, the revaluation set to take place this year, it might be more helpful in reducing the anxiety which is prevalent. Thank you. Is there anyone that wanted to comment on that?
Viola is correct that our policy states 8 to 10%, but I believe we had a discussion regarding this matter about a year ago. And we did conclude, if my memory serves me correctly, that 10% was on the low side.
I believe, Nancy, I think you're correct. I think when we spoke with the auditors, that they had said that that was on the low side
Correct,
in today's environment.
That was
correct.
also the advice that we received from CCM when we went to their budgeting workshops.
Right, and I recall the number being around 13%. But I cannot say that, with 100% certainty. That number 13% is popping into my head.
There wasn't really a number, it was a
Okay,
range.
okay.
Okay, so then the last question that was actually received in the chat feature was from Joe Pascal. And his question was, it wasn't really actually a question, it was more of a comment, which was this meeting should have been held on Zoom so that everyone could have seen the Board of Finance's members' faces and asked them questions directly. And so at the Board of Select Persons meeting that took place that very same night, Laura did explain to him at that time the reason why this annual budget hearing was held the way that it was, which was because of the technology and the functionality of the way that systems work. And having that many people with so many different devices would have probably not technically been the easiest thing to navigate. We normally do a webinar presentation, and that was the reason that we put it on PowerPoint. It's also the reason that we sent a mailing to every single mailbox in the town so that people were aware of that. It's why we mentioned it at all of our meetings. It's why it was available on our website. And in addition to that, as I mentioned earlier, the town itself is roughly about 7,400 people. And we did receive questions from 6 questions and remarks that were fairly extensive, I thought. So other than trying to figure out the best way to do this, I think that our course of action was as informative as possible. And we tried to make all the commitment that we could to read verbatim the statements as they came in and answer the questions. Did anyone have anything else they wanted to add? Okay, so then the next item that we have is what we need to do is schedule a special budget meeting. And the reason for this is that we will get the figures based on the Board of Education final vote, which takes place on May 27th. And what we've done is set a tentative meeting for Thursday, 5/28 at 6:30 p.m.
You broke up, Bob. You broke up. I couldn't hear that date. There's static.
Yeah, the person who was at 3490738 needs to do *6. I think I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, I did *6.
If you did *6, I wouldn't be able to hear.
Oh, well, I apologize. I'll hit it again, Bob.
Okay. Okay, great. That's muted now.
Okay, so what did you say? May 27th, the Board of Education is having their, they're going to vote or whatever on the budget here on May
That's correct.
27th.
Yes.
Yep. And then what did you say after that?
We need to schedule a special budget meeting for Thursday on May 28th at 6:30, and we need to notice that.
Is that for the purpose of doing the mill rate?
Well,
Yeah, I don't understand what we're going to be doing at that meeting. If you could kindly explain.
okay, so on May 18th, the Board of Selectmen are meeting to find out what the course of action is going to be based upon how the budget is going to be implemented. We don't have an answer yet as far as whether or not they're going to be allowing you see what I'm saying? Yeah, okay. Whether or not they're allowing us as the body to set the mill, or if they have some other plans in place, which they've brought up about having some other vote that may take place in the future.
So
So-
Bob, I'd like to just ask you to rephrase that.
Yep.
They would not be giving us permission to set the mill. That's normally in our purview. What they would be doing is allowing
Yeah.
us to finalize the budget, to approve the budget.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
What I
And
meant,
that, and
what I-
that would be on May 28th after the Board of Selectmen meeting on May 18th. Am I following?
let me
correctly?
take you through the dates.
Okay,
So on May 18th,
yes.
this is an agenda item of what Chuck just described in much better terms than I did.
No, you're doing great. What
The
is it?
The decision is going to be made about how we're going to proceed.
Okay,
However, as we know, the Board of Education budget figure
uh-huh,
is not going to be finalized
mm-hmm,
until May 27th.
right.
So what we need to do is have our budget meeting. Once we get that figure, it needs to take place on Thursday, May 28th. And so what I'm doing is proposing that we have a special budget meeting to take place on Thursday, 5/28 at 6:30, so that we can notice that properly.
And then are we still having a meeting, a town meeting on June 8th?
Well, again, we're not going to get the response 100% until the meeting takes place on Monday, the 18th.
Okay. Okay, so I would ask, if we're having a special budget meeting on May 28th, why would we then have a meeting on June 8th?
We would not.
The June
Okay.
8th meeting, the June 8th meeting is the town meeting.
Right, but what would we be doing at that meeting?
Well, on 5/28, if for some reason the budget comes in differently from the Board of Education, we're not anticipating that, but that's a possibility. We need to have the finalized budget together. And their finalized number for the Board of Education will not be had until May 27th. So
Okay,
we basically need to meet together when the budget has all of its numbers.
right.
Numbers.
For-
And then we would vote to send it to town meeting.
Well, no, that's what Bob
Or-
is saying.
Or if there's another course of action that takes place, we go that route.
Yes, yes,
That's
yes.
a variable. We don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah,
Okay,
understood.
so we won't know, we will not know for sure if we're having a special town meeting on the 28th or we're having a meeting on June 8th. We still don't know that, correct?
No, what we'd like to do is we want to have our board together to finalize the budget to include the Board of Education numbers
Got it.
on 5/28.
And will the Board of Finance be voting on that budget per the instructions of the governor on that day?
Possibly.
Possibly.
I cannot
Okay.
give you that answer until after the meeting takes place on 5/18.
Okay, okay. I understand. So if that were the case, then, and I'm just asking, I am not stating this, I'm just asking. If that were the case, there would be no need for a town meeting on June 8th, because what would we do at that meeting?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
There would be no meeting, no reason for the Board of Finance to be involved in a June 8th meeting.
Correct.
Okay, okay, okay.
So I'll make a motion that we schedule a special budget meeting to discuss the Board of Education budget on Thursday, 5/28 at 6:30.
Second,
Is there any other discussion, questions,
so
clarification?
you used the word discuss,
Yes.
and I want to, do we want to include the language that we're also potentially going to approve the budget and set the mill rate? In your motion, that's a friendly amendment.
I don't,
That's one of the possibilities here.
it is. I think I might feel more comfortable saying that we're meeting to discuss the Board of Education budget and then amend the agenda on that night based on the information that we have from the meeting that takes place on the 18th.
I agree.
You can't amend the agenda of a special meeting.
Oh, that's good to know.
I agree with Bob. I don't
We
feel
can do it.
comfortable. I don't feel comfortable until we find out what's going to happen on the May 18th meeting. Why would we make this decision ahead of that?
That's why I use the word potential, Nancy.
I understand, but I'm not comfortable with it.
Is waiting until May 19th at our regular meeting too late to post? That's,
You need a day, just a day, correct, to post? What's the law, 24 hours?
Jen shaking her head, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's no need for us to do that now, in my view.
Do we need to put public notice out?
Let me see about the email that I got from Laura as far as direction is concerned with what we're in such a strange time that I think that a lot of these things are just an unknown. So her response was the Board of Selectmen agenda will include the motion to direct the budget-making authority to approve the budget and set the mill rate.
Right.
And that's at the meeting that takes place on 5/18.
So on our May 28th meeting, it is to react to the Board of Selectmen's actions on May 18th. And our agenda should reflect that.
But we don't know what's going to happen at that meeting.
Right, so that's why, again, I use the word to potentially approve the budget and potentially set the mill rate for the direction of the Board of Selectmen on May 18th.
I think, yeah, I mean, if the wording is that, I guess that's fine, because it's not a commitment to anything. So would you mind then reading your amendment to my motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess we're going to schedule a special meeting on May 28th.
You got to speak in the speaker.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes. We're going to, a motion to hold a special Board of Finance meeting on May 28th to potentially approve the budget and set the mill rate for the direction of the Board of Selectmen at their meeting of May 18th. Everybody went silent. I didn't.
Well, because what happened is I made a motion, you seconded it, now you've amended it.
Oh, okay, I'm
Now
sorry.
we need to, no, it's okay. I think we can do this. We just have to make sure. Go ahead, Jen. What were you going to say?
I want to make sure I have it right.
Yeah, okay.
Chuck amended the motion to have a special Board of Finance meeting on May 28th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. to potentially approve the budget and set the mill rate for the direction of the Board of Selectmen at their meeting of May 18th. Did I miss something?
You have it perfectly, Jen, but I don't want us to be goofed up here. So why don't I, Bob, if you're happy with that, I'll withdraw my motion and let you make it.
Okay.
So that we don't have to vote on two things here.
Okay.
So I'm withdrawing my motion, Jen.
Okay.
So Bob didn't write down that whole thing like Jen did.
I type everything.
So
You want me to just, well, you
why
made,
don't- if you have it, yeah, why don't you make the motion? Why don't you make the motion? Yeah. Go
okay.
ahead.
Well, we have to vote on your motion, though.
Or why don't we just get rid of mine and start over?
Okay, so you're withdrawing your,
motion.
I'm going to withdraw my original.
okay. So I am, again, Jen, making the motion to hold a special Board of Finance meeting on May 28th, 2020, to approve the budget and set the mill rate pursuant to the direction of the Board of Selectmen on their May 18th meeting.
Can you read that again?
I got it. I got it.
Let Jen read it back.
Can you please read it back?
Yes, Chuck made a motion to hold a special Board of Finance meeting on May 28th at 6:30 to approve the budget and set the mill rate pursuant to the direction of the Board of Selectmen at their May 18th meeting.
What happened to the word potential?
Well, pursuant to what the direction is would essentially mean the results of that meeting dictate what's going to happen.
Well,
You see?
Chuck told me 3 times that's why he wanted the word potential in there. It's not in there.
Right,
Well,
but
but
I
if
think
the-
by saying that that it's pursuant to the meeting on the 18th, once we have our meeting, then we would say, well, we're not going to set the mill rate because this happened on the May 18th meeting. We're going to move to having it on June 8th or whatever the deal should be.
If they don't authorize us, Nancy, then we can't set it,
Hmm.
okay? If they do authorize it, we can set it.
Right.
That's the pursuant.
Okay.
Make sense? Okay, I'm going to second Chuck's motion.
God help us.
Is there any further discussion for the motion? All those in favor then would say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes, Nancy Cuomo is opposed.
Any abstained? Okay, the motion passes. So the next item we have then is just a reminder that our next scheduled regular meeting is on May 19th. Same format. And I have a motion then to adjourn.
Before we quite do that, Bob, I'd just like to point out that the numbers in the Board of Education's flyer were slightly lower for Durham's contribution
Oh,
than we have in our budget sheet right now. So Beth can follow up with Kim and get the right values in there. The ECS was up a little bit, but their expenses were down in the order of $50,000 or $60,000 more.
Oh, when did this happen, Chuck?
They mailed out their sheet to your house.
I can't hear you.
They mailed out a Board of Education
Yes.
sheet to your house.
Yep.
And if you compared those numbers that are in that sheet to
To the-
our budget sheet, the numbers are slightly different.
Great. Thank
our-
you.
To our favor.
Thank you.
so I guess that was a discussion to my motion to adjourn.
Second,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
aye. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Good night.